I read you have 100% of your liquid net worth in Bitcoin.
Yeah, so it's maybe 99 or 98, because of course I have euros, because for every day I'm not paying in Bitcoins, or I don't care about that. I don't want to buy my bread in Bitcoin. It's not the issue. It doesn't solve that, Bitcoin. But yeah, all my liquidities and everything and sometimes I sell Bitcoin, sometimes I buy Bitcoin. It depends of my needs in real life, because I don't want to die with my Bitcoins. It's not just, I'm just accumulating to accumulate. If one day I have something to buy because I want to do something, then I will sell Bitcoins. I'm here to live also my life.
You're not the Michael Saylor of France.
No. I'm keeping a lot, for the future, and I'm more like thinking about future. And I'm not someone, anyways, who burns cash to buy stuff. I don't have watch. I don't have cars. I need nothing. I don't care. But sometimes I like to go in holidays, or it's fine for me to sell Bitcoins for experience.
When you understand Bitcoin, you understand the low time preference.
Yeah,
right.
That's sure. That's the center of everything. Time preference is what defines a civilization, and Bitcoin is the remedy.
Can you explain more
about what, time preference, or
about Bitcoin and time preference, and the key principle that make you so bullish or believer in Bitcoin?
Yeah, sure. Well, maybe your auditors are already know what's time preference, but I'm going to explain again. It's everything starts with a marshmallow, So there is the marshmallow experiment, the marshmallow experiment. Sorry, for English, we say marshmallow. The marshmallow experiment. It's a Stanford experiment. Basically, you have kids, like they are 5, 6 year old, or 4, 5. And the experience is the following. An adult comes and gives to a kid, a marshmallow. And they say, okay, it's for you. And now you have 2 options. I'm going to leave this room, leave you alone with this marshmallow. And if when I come back, you didn't eat the marshmallow in like 15 minutes, which is quite a long time to be alone, then I give you a second one. And so it's an illustration of time preference. Either your time preference is long-term, and then you are not going to satisfy yourself immediately. You are going to resist and not eat the marshmallow. And then, because you trust the adult that you are going to have a second one, or you cannot resist and you eat now, and so you have a low time preference. And this experience was quite interesting. Because basically it shows how you are going to behave in the future, in a way. It's not always 100% working like that, but basically you have people who are eating the marshmallow immediately, and though they are not going to have big studies, they are going to have more addictions. They are not going to be good, to invest their time. They are going to always to take everything now, and say, okay, the future can wait. And there are the others who understand the importance of, not indulging you immediately, and maybe to do long studies, to save some money, to not have addictions, to think about the future. And so this is time preference, and it's a behavioral science, but it works also for civilization. A civilization who have a long time preference is going to build cathedrals, infrastructure. A civilization who has a low time preference is basically going to watch Netflix all day, and do nothing. And what is going to have an impact on the time preference as a society is money. If you have money that doesn't keep its value, that disappear, then the invitation is to spend it now, to do some consumerism, to buy shit you don't need, Because anyway, you say, okay, I'm going to buy now because anyway, why to keep it? Because the value of this money tomorrow is nothing. And a money that can hold on its value, then invites for keeping the money, to build your assets and to wait and not to buy stuff you don't need, And so the way money is has a big influence on civilization. One of the best time for our modern civilization was basically when we were to the gold standard in the end of like 18th, 19th century, where we had a big advance in civilization because basically everything was related to gold. And so you couldn't have like inflation, you couldn't like conflate money. And now we are in the opposite situation where money is losing a lot of ground, where even politics are grounded in low time preference. Like, okay, I'm paying now. I'm, we are like spending everything now, putting all in the debt, to solve issues now, so everyone is happy now, but in the future, we don't care. We send all the problems into the future. And all that basically creates the situation which is now, where the future is coming and knocking on the door, and you have to pay at some point, And so Bitcoin is going back to sound money, and money who has a long time preference. And it's healing the civilization, and that's why, as a civilization, we need Bitcoin, because it can realign your needs, with the future. And that's why Bitcoin is so powerful.
How do you explain the concept of crazy volatility in this equation of sound money to someone who is struggling today, but say, hey, either I struggle today because wage deflation, I don't make enough money, the asset prices go crazy because there's crazy money printing, all that stuff. But if I put my money in this thing, I could be down 50% in 2 months.
Yeah, sure. So all that is nice in theory, but then when you are in the day-to-day life and you face to the reality, it's not that easy. So I think that the best advice that we can give on that is really to see Bitcoin as a long-term asset only, and then always zoom out, in your view, and to not put everything that you have into Bitcoin, like right now, does not make any sense. It's not a right advice. Don't do like me.
I wanted to say.
No, and I always say that. Me, I started a long time ago. I have all these convictions and everything, but with all the volatility, it's important. The best approach, the best advice is to put one slice of what you have every month or every week, put it in Bitcoin, and to buy automatically. This is DCA, dollar cost averaging. It's a very well-known technique, and to forget about your Bitcoins. And the only way to forget about it is to make sure you don't put what you need for day-to-day life in Bitcoins. Because if you put too much, then you are going to watch the price, and then you are going to take bad decisions. The only people I know who had a success with Bitcoin investment is the one who forgot about it. 100% of the people who invested into Bitcoin and either put too much, or tried to beat the market, by selling or going to shit coins, they all lost everything, because you start to lose and then you went, because when you win something, you forget very easily. But when you lose, it's in your mind for a long time. And so you want to make over, you want to take revenge on that, and you take more and more risk. And 100% at the end, you have nothing. And the only one is the one who forgot. And so a lot of people are telling themselves, if I could go back, to 2010, 2011, then I will buy Bitcoin, at what 1 cent.
Of course.
But the reality is, the people who did that, when Bitcoin did 10 times, 10x, 50x, and they sold everything, and that's life. And the only one who didn't sold are the crazies, the one say, okay, Bitcoin is like the future, or the one who forgot the existence of their Bitcoins.
Your money should work while you spend it. With Cast, spend stablecoins across 170 plus countries and earn up to 3% instant USD cashback. No banks, no friction, just money that keeps moving. Cast, keep it stable. Check the link in the description to learn more.